Mike, this has been some excellent information on juicing and the life-saving benefits that they provide the body. This information is going to help a lot of people. So tell me, where did your research take you next?
The next area of research for me was the Budwig diet. When I first heard about this diet of cottage cheese and flax oil healing terminal cancer patients, I blew it off. That was a big mistake on my part. And I didn't come back and look at this protocol until 2 years later. I don't know exactly what made me come back and look at it exactly. Maybe it was God slapping me in the back of my head and getting my attention.
I think this happens to all of us at one time or another.
I think you're right. Anyway, with regards to Dr. Johanna Budwig, I purchased and read 3 of her books, which have been translated from German to English. I think some background on Dr. Budwig is warranted here, as many people are not familiar with her work. Dr. Budwig was a German cancer research scientist, biochemist, blood specialist, German pharmacologist, quantum physicist, and an expert in fats and oils. She was absolutely brilliant. She was born in Germany in 1908 and lived to the ripe old age of 95. Dr. Budwig died in the year 2003. She developed a protocol referred to as the Budwig Diet. There are many parts of this diet, but the most powerful part of the protocol, in my opinion, involved using a product called quark, some call it quack, in her country, which is similar to cottage cheese in this country. When she combined the cottage cheese or the quack and flax oil together in a specific manner, and then feeding it to terminally ill patients, she was able to bring many back off their deathbed and was healing people of cancer and other chronic and terminal diseases into the year 2000. This is quite a protocol she developed.
Yeah, once you made me aware of this protocol, I would agree with you. It's one of the craziest things that I've ever heard. But just watching these cases from around the world that Tiffany is providing information to, it's just amazing in some of the results that we're observing.
That's what I thought at first as well, but not anymore. I'll give you a little further background on Dr. Budwig to help you understand where she's coming from with this information. In Germany in 1952, Dr. Budwig was the government's senior expert on fats and pharmaceutical drugs. She was considered one of the world's leading authorities on fats and oils. Her research has shown the tremendous effects that commercially processed fats and oils have in destroying cell membranes and lowering the voltage in our cells and our bodies, which in turn result in chronic and terminal diseases.
Are you talking about the fats and oils that are on the shelves in the grocery store, like corn oils, vegetable, and canola oils?
Yes, I am. I refer to them as liquid plastic in a bottle. The oils which you just mentioned are the same oils Dr. Budwig would be referring to. Our cells cannot fire properly from consumption of these types of oils in our body. They destroy the cell membrane that surrounds and protects the cells, as a grape skin protects a grape, if that makes sense to you.
Most all of the foods that we eat are cooked in this. I mean, these oils are used in everything from cakes, pies, cookies. I mean, almost anything that you can think of.
That's correct. And that's exactly why, according to Dr. Budwig, you have so many sick people. The cells of our body fire electrically, and we are body electric. The center of the cell, the nucleus, is positively charged. The cell membrane, which surrounds the cell, is negatively charged. We're all aware of how fats clog up our veins and our arteries and are the leading cause of heart attacks, but we never look beyond the end of our noses to see how these very dangerous fats and oils are affecting the overall health of our minds and bodies. Now, this is a little technical, but bear with me. Dr. Budwig discovered that when unsaturated fats have been chemically treated, their unsaturated qualities are destroyed and the fields of electrons are removed. Remember, we talked about how important these electrons are earlier in the consumption of the juices. She discovered this commercial processing of fats destroys the field of electrons that the cell membranes, some 60 to 100 trillion cells in our body, must have to fire properly. The cell membranes need this electron-rich, unsaturated fat to fire properly. Now, this will make a little more sense in a minute, so just bear with me. Dr. Budwig went on to say the fat's ability to associate with protein and thereby achieve water solubility in the fluids of the living body, all of this is destroyed. As Dr. Budwig puts it, the battery is dead because the electrons in these fats and oils recharge it. She also said that when the electrons are destroyed, the fats are no longer active and cannot flow into the capillaries and through the fine capillary networks in your body. This is when circulation problems arise.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, what she is saying is that this could be the problem in so many different diseases, like heart disease, diabetes, neuropathy, eye issues, and so on. So I guess to me, a good example is to look at the discoloration in the legs of diabetics, where many of them can be brown and red from the knee down, with the wounds that won't heal on their feet and legs. I mean, look at the amputation, such as the removal of toes, feet, legs. This is just terrible to think that this is the major player in the issue.
I'd have to say your observations are right on the money, exactly correct. Look at cancer, for instance. The voltage in the cells drops as fats are destroying the cell membranes and the DNA becomes damaged in the cells, which then provides incorrect cellular instructions and creates mutated cells. There are some other things which come into play on this issue, but I'll get into that later. When the DNA is damaged, the cells lose their instructions to die off properly and continue to multiply out of control, as cancer cells do. This is one of the major issues in cancer and chronic diseases.
Mike, that sounds like some good information.
She made it pretty clear. All someone actually has to do is to listen to what she had to say. Also, another issue Dr. Budwig talked about is the brain, how bad fats affect the cells in the brain. I did some further research and found that these fats, when heated to high temperature, like in barbecue, can cause a buildup of a polyacrylamide. And it appears the bad fats and polyacrylamide affect not only the cells of the brain, the neurotransmitters need this electron-rich unsaturated oil to transmit properly for production of serotonins, dopamine, and much more. Neurotransmitters in the brain are made up of 50% omega-3 oils, and in the United States, 8 out of 10 people are depleted in omega-3 fatty acids. Many people cannot think or even function properly.
Well, I think it's a major problem, not only in the US, but throughout the world. I mean, look at all these people that are on antidepressant drugs and the terrible things that many of them have done. I mean, you hear about it in the news nightly. We have people walking into our schools, shooting kids, shooting people in a movie theater. I mean, we saw an airline pilot that flew a passenger jet into the mountainside, killing a plane load of men, women, and children.
Good observation.
If I remember correctly, years back, a woman in California even put her children into her suburban vehicle and drove into the ocean, with everyone running down to the beach to save them. I mean, thank God that they got everyone out of the vehicle safely. There was another lady in Texas many years ago that drowned all 5 of her children by driving her vehicle into a lake. I mean, I think those are perfect examples of this imbalance and appears to be created when there's a lack of the proper elements for the brain and body.
I totally agree. And in my opinion, these people don't have a clue what they're doing when they're on these type of drugs. And many times when they're not on the drugs. The antidepressant drugs appear to exacerbate the issue tenfold. Look at the warning on the bottles of these pharmaceutical drugs indicating suicidal thoughts as a possible side effect. These people may know right from wrong, but it's very apparent there's a loss of control. I think what Dr. Budwig is describing appears to be a very big part of this, and the pharmaceutical companies play right into this as there are millions of dollars at stake here. I think this is why the news media stay away from going after this issue, as they lose the advertising dollars from the pharmaceutical companies. It's pretty sad, as they're all profiting from this. I think we got a little off track, so let's move forward. This issue of the lack of electron-rich oils and the wrong oils that we consume in our bodies daily, which Dr. Budwig is speaking of, in my opinion, is destroying the human body. I hope what I'm trying to relay here makes some sense to everyone. This is why it's so important to get the electron-rich unsaturated fats back into the body so the body can start the repair process, as long as it's not been too badly damaged by the disease or the orthodox medical treatments. Dr. Budwig also said that without the proper metabolism of fats in our bodies, every vital function and every organ is affected. This includes the generation of new life and new cells. Our bodies produce over 500 million new cells daily. Dr. Budwig pointed out that in growing new cells, there is a dipolarity between the electrically positive nucleus and the electrically negative cell membrane with its high unsaturated fatty acids. During cell division, The cell in the new daughter cell must contain enough electron-rich fatty acids in the cell's surface area to divide off completely from the old cell. When this process is interrupted, the body begins to die. In essence, these commercially processed fats and oils are shutting down the electrical field of the cells, which are allowing chronic and terminal diseases to take hold of our bodies.
Mike, I understand your comparison about how these fats get into the cell membrane that protects the outside of the cell like a grape skin protects a grape. But there's an electrical charge going on with this cell, and the voltage is compromised by these bad fats shutting down the voltage in the cells.
That is exactly correct.
So what cooking oils do you use if the others, as you put it, are liquid plastic in a bottle?
Dr. McCullough has said it best to use coconut oil. It's a medium chain triglyceride, which is good for your brain and body and can be easily metabolized. If you want more information on this, go to Mercola, M-E-R-C-O-L-A, Mercola.com, or do a simple Google search on benefits of coconut oil. You'll be absolutely amazed at the benefits of this oil. I use it every day. Many people have asked about olive oil, but it wasn't made for high temperature cooking as the oil is severely damaged. But many are using it. It's not made for this. It's great for salads and dipping in bread.
Okay, so let's go back to the firing of our cells that you were just talking about. What happens when these new daughter cells you were speaking of during cell division don't break away from their mother cell?
You're in very serious trouble. This is how the formation of tumors starts. Dr. Budwig explained how tumors form. I'll quote her and then try to clarify what happens with this issue of tumors. Now bear with me as this is a little complicated. I'll explain it out in a couple minutes so everyone understands. Dr. Budwig noted the formation of tumors usually happens as follows. In those body areas that normally host many growth processes, such as in the skin and the membranes, the glandular organs, for example, the liver and pancreas, or the glands in the stomach or intestinal tract. It is here that the growth processes are brought to a standstill because the dipolarity is missing due to the lack of the electron-rich, highly unsaturated fat. The course of growth is disturbed. The surface active fats are not present. Substance becomes inactive before the maturing and the shedding process ever takes place, which results in the formation of tumors.
All right, Mike, could you explain that a little easier so that everyone can understand?
Yes, I will, because that's a mouthful. But there are those out there that want that type of an explanation. Simply put, if you don't have the electron-rich, unsaturated fats in your body, the cell division is not going to take place correctly, and the cells won't divide, breaking away from each other, with the new cell coming in fully charged and the mother cell dying off. The new cell is not able to divide off from the mother cell and break away, as the voltage is too low, thus a formation of a tumor in that area. Then, as the electrical charge is not sufficient in this area to repel these daily toxic loads encountered by the body, free radicals and such will build up in the areas of the lowest voltage, where the tumor has now formed and will many times continue to get larger as time goes on. That would be my understanding in my lay terms of what she is saying.
So if this is happening in this manner, can it be reversed?
Dr. Budwig indicated the formation of tumors can be reversed by providing the simple foods, cottage cheese and flax oil, which revises the stagnated growth processes. It increases the voltage in the area of the tumor formation, and in many times it will be reabsorbed by the body, mature out and die. She indicated this naturally causes the tumors to dissolve, and the whole range of symptoms, which indicated a dead battery, are cured. This is what Dr. Budwig said in the translation, which I read.